Okay, we'll start our virtual migration enterprise manager here to show you that the database is currently running. This is a single instance which is running on ASM. You can see the directory way to the right there where it shows the ASM disk group of data. This is just the standard demo database that gets installed. So the first thing I want to do is just show the PowerPath devices. Here we have A, B, C, and D represented currently by the PowerMax. E, F, G, and H represented by PowerFlex. You can see the PowerMax devices if you look at the hardware path. It shows it as the SCSI device because they're fiber channel, and then the PowerFlex ones will just say PowerFlex. So the idea behind a PowerPath Migration Enabler migration is to reverse them so that the pseudo devices A, B, C, and D will point to PowerFlex instead of the PowerMax. And to do that, we'll first use a pairing file, very similar to RDF if you use that, or SnapVX where you associate device pairs. Here we associate pseudo devices. We run a setup for PPME with the PowerMig binary, PowerMIG. And so this just does target source association. So we get into a setup state is what our current migration state will be. Okay, so once we're in the setup state, we can move over to our next state, which is the sync state, which is the bulk of your migration. This is where we're copying data from the source to the target. And the time at which we're doing this, we're still accessing the source array. So as we look here with Enterprise Manager, the database continues to run on the PowerMax. Now the syncing process, as I've noted in the blog, can take a while. It just depends on how fast your network is. I have a lab, it's very slow, so it takes a very long time for me to copy data, and the virtual machine itself is not huge. So, all excuses to my lab. Your production environments are not going to have these types of issues. So you can query the status here by doing a query all. It'll show you each separate migration session because we have 4 of them. We're just associating them together so we can watch them. The handle is the session, which is the left-hand column there. So we're at 2% here. What I'll do here now is, through the magic of pushing the video a little forward, I'll show you here we can query and find out how long it is actually going to take, which we won't wait through, which you'll see here. It's estimating like 43 minutes for one, 36 minutes for another. Theoretically, they should all be kind of the same, and they do. They kind of all finish at the same time, despite what it says here, because it varies. So here, magically, we are at 4%, and then next thing you know, we're going to be at 12 and continue to increase 35. So we'll jump right here to the very end of the migration. Okay, so here we are in our 90 percentile, and what we want to do is get to this source selected state, which means the copy itself is completed. So all the data now is over onto the PowerFlex, and we're maintaining, or I should say, PowerPath maintains the synchronicity between the 2 devices. Here, if you want to see how long it actually took, it'll tell you here the total sync time, 41 minutes. And if you look, you'll see each one took 42 minutes. So even though in the beginning it said it would take disparate times, over time they even out, and it took the same amount of time. I should say because they were the same size devices. So now what we want to do is change over from our source to our target. So when we get into the target state, what it means that any reads that are going to be done from the database are actually going to be done on the PowerFlex. The writes will still be done to both, but the reads will just be coming from the target. So this is the pre-stage before we're actually going to commit over, so that we're actually going to stop accessing the PowerMax devices. We're going to ask PowerPath to switch associations between the sudo and the storage device, and then we're just simply going to be accessing the PowerFlex from then on, and we're not going to touch the PowerMax. So this is our commit command, and we're going to commit each one individually. Commit runs immediately. It doesn't take any time at all. And if we do a more detailed query here, you'll see we've entered the committed state for these. There you go. So in the committed state, as I said, we're just accessing the PowerFlex. At this point now, we can just end the migration sessions, which is done through this cleanup command. Now the cleanup command will go remove some data from the source devices on the PowerMax so the operating system doesn't get confused. Not that it should, but this is the way the migration tool works, just in case. These can take a few minutes. I've obviously kind of jumped through them depending on the size of the device. Depends how long this will take. When the cleanup completes, the migration sessions are done. They're cleaned up. There's nothing left. If we go out and do a query, there's nothing there. There's no migrations. So now we're accessing completely the PowerFlex. Database hasn't changed. We can do a refresh. It's still up. Everybody's happy. Not a problem. So if we do a display, let's look at our devices, because this is where we're going to see that now the pseudo devices A, B, C, and D are now pointing to the PowerFlex, right? And if we go scroll back up a little bit, we'll see that the PowerMax devices are now associated with the former PowerFlex devices. Right there, E, F, G, and H. We'll just go into Oracle. I'm kind of nut with this stuff because I just want to show that everything is still operational. I'm just going to show you that the ASM disks are still pointed where they were. They're still pointed to PowerPath A, B, C, and D. It's just that we've changed where they go to, that it's going to PowerFlex storage. So now the second part of the demonstration here is we're going to pull out the RDMs from PowerMax. We don't need them anymore, right? So you can see here, this device, we are still currently on the PowerMax for the virtual machine itself. So despite the fact that we have RDMs to the PowerFlex, we still have RDMs to the PowerMax. So if we want to get rid of those, we'll just pull them right out from underneath the operating system. And once we do this, when we go back into PowerPath, PowerPath will then show these paths to be dead because we've removed the storage, so they can't be there anymore. And you can see we're just left with 4 RDMs to the PowerFlex, as well as the existing hard device, source device, which is still on the PowerMax. So here you'll see dead paths for any of the PowerMax devices. So PowerFlex, nothing has changed, but we're in dead states. And our hardware path is unknown on the left because we've removed the device from the SCSI adapter. So PowerPath says they must be gone. So we're going to go out and clean them up. You don't have to do this, but the paths serve no purpose. So this is an easy command to run. Go out, just pull them out. And then when you do a display again, we're just going to be left with the 4 PowerFlex devices. So this part of our migration is complete, but since our virtual machine, the source where all the software is, as well as the home device, the VMX file, all little files associated with the VM, since they're still living on a PowerMax device, we want to move over the entire virtual machine to PowerFlex. So we'll do a storage vMotion. We'll pick a PowerFlex data store. Right now, we're moving all the the files, because remember, your RDM still have a pointer device, and we need to move the pointer device too. So we're going to move these over from the PowerMax data store over to the PowerFlex. And so push through the migration fairly quickly here. And there you go, PowerFlex PPME. And the demo is complete.